Hello, my name is Dixit, and today I will be showing you guys the dirty penny lab, in which we clean dirty pennies with grime on them. So if you come over here, these pennies right here are old pennies that have collected grime on them, and it's this kind of blackish residue that you see here. And if you come over here to this equation sheet, you can see that the residue is due to oxidation of copper by oxygen gas. So copper is a highly reactive metal, and that's what the majority of these pennies are mainly made out of. So when it reacts with oxygen in the air over time, what happens is it forms a compound called copper oxide, in which the copper atoms lose 2 electrons and the oxygen atoms gain 2 electrons. So the copper is oxidized and the oxygen is reduced, and that's what forms the copper oxide. In this lab, what we will be doing is getting rid of the copper oxide on the surface of these copper pennies in the form of an aqueous chemical reaction. So we can start now. Over here we have some vinegar, which contains low concentration acetic acid within it, and to that we will be adding almost a teaspoon of table salt, which is NaCl. So let's go ahead and add that, and we have to stir it just a little bit to make sure that it's a uniform composition inside. Just keep stirring. All right, that should be good enough. And now all we have to do, for the first part, I'm just going to dip half of this kind of dirty penny inside the copper, or inside the solution, and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. So we're going to dip about half of it inside, leave it there for about 5 to 10 seconds, and take it out. And you can clearly see, if you come over here, that about half of the penny is cleaned. So we'll go ahead and do that now for all of the pennies. We're going to submerge all of them in this vinegar and sodium chloride solution. And the last one. We'll make sure that none of them are touching each other, so evenly space them out. And we're going to leave them in for about 5 minutes. The copper pennies have been in the vinegar and NaCl solution for about 5 minutes now. So I went ahead and took them out, and I washed them clean with just cold water, cold tap water, and then I dabbed them lightly with a paper towel so I could clean them. And you can see that they're here on this piece of paper. And you can clearly see that each of the originally grimy copper pennies that were covered with kind of that copper oxide residue have now turned back to shiny luster. This one is a little harder, but it's fine. These 4 are all shiny now. And the reason for that is this chemical equation right here. So the residue on the copper pennies, as we saw last time, is called copper oxide. And the vinegar contains low concentration acetic acid, 8C2H3O2. And when these 2 compounds react, copper acetate is formed. It's an aqueous solution, so it dissolves into copper ions and acetate ions within the vinegar solution, and it also forms water. So since none of the copper oxide remains on the surface of the pennies, what you end up getting is this shiny luster on the pennies, because all that remains now on the surface is the copper. And so that's it.